phase 5 of Marvel is back. Like, we're back. We went through such a dry spell with Marvel. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Malcolm. I'm here with a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review. Please make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm working on getting to 1,000 and that will help me a lot. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. After seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I had low expectations for this movie. After seeing the last couple Marvel movies that have come out, it gave me low expectations for this movie. But damn, this shit was heat. This honestly was a fantastic movie. I had a great time in the movie theater. It was nothing like what I expected it to be. Look, there's a little bit of recency bias in there because I did see it super recent, but this might be my favorite Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it's one of my favorite Marvel movies to date. I gotta see it again to make sure there's no bias in there, but it's probably one of my favorite Marvel movies in a while. Let's talk about why. This movie was emotional. I was not prepared for how emotional this movie was gonna be. With the direction that some of the Marvel movies have been taking, like Thor Love and Thunder, or even like the other Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought this was just gonna be packed full of jokes. It was just gonna be comedy, and no real substance, kind of like Ant-Man, Quantumania. That's what I was expecting. Boy, was I fucking wrong. This movie got deep, it got emotional, it got dark, it got creepy, it had everything, and it just was not expected at all. The scenes where Rocket Raccoon and we were looking back into his past, I forgot I was watching a fucking Marvel movie multiple times, bro. Like, it was so dark and grungy and scary. Like, even the other animals that got put together, like Floor and Teefs and Lila, it was so creepy that it was almost hard to look at them. Like, I was actually a little uncomfortable looking at Floor specifically. Like, I was uncomfortable watching it because it was so inhumane and dark and creepy. It was, I don't know, there were moments this just didn't feel like a Marvel movie. I was like, man, but I loved it. Like, I loved how, I loved how different it was. That shit was fire. And just like seeing how evil the villain was. Look, I've watched every Marvel movie that's come out. I know what the MCU is like. I've watched all the MCU movies. This might have been the most evil villain that I've seen across all of the MCU, or just in a long time. Because, like, here's the thing about MCU villains. A lot of the MCU villains, they like to make them multi-dimensional. So even though they're wrong, a lot of them are trying to do right. And I guess this guy kind of was too, but this was the most evil motherfucker ever. When I tell y'all, I was sitting in my chair in that movie theater. There was, in no exaggeration, there was a point where I was sitting in my seat and I balled my fist up because I wanted to fight, bro. Like, I really wanted to fight him. Bro was just so evil. When Rocket was trying to escape and bro blasted Lila down, I was like, man, I thought you might try some shit like that. I was sitting there like, bro, you bitch, you evil. Like, I was mad as shit. And dude was acting his ass off. I've never seen that actor before. But oh my God. Because he really made me believe he was an evil ass dude. Honestly, I'm questioning if he a good guy in real life after watching that. Bro was, cause can't nobody act that good. That shit, bro, man, good ass villain. When we're talking about superhero movies, one of the biggest things about superhero movies is the villain. I always say that a superhero movie is only as good as its villain, and boy, oh boy, was this man. He was doing this shit, man. He was doing this shit. Good acting, bro. I hated you, but damn, that was some good acting. Fuck. But even outside of just him, like the dark moments of, it's like these moments were supposed to be happy, but because of the setting, they were melancholy. Of like Rocket meeting his friends, and when they were naming each other, and he was talking about like, I'm gonna take all my friends to the sky. Those moments were just so sad, because like, we know, even before we saw all his friends die, we knew that wasn't gonna happen. We knew that's not how it was gonna end up going. So just watching him like dream and hope for that, it was just like, Like, damn, man. He's not gonna achieve this dream, bro. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Damn, bro. Like, Rocket's backstory, man. Rocket's backstory just hurt. Even when Nebula was watching him getting put together, she was like, this shit is worse than what Thanos did to me. I was like, fuck, bro. And of course Rocket don't want, like, after knowing all this, I completely understand why Rocket don't want to talk about his backstory ever. Nobody knows shit about him or his background because he's like, bro, I'm not talking about that shit. I don't want to think about this shit. Like, he locked that shit deep in his soul and did not revisit it. And it was dark. It was dark. This was a dark ass movie, but I loved it. I loved how dark it was. And shit, while we're on the topic of acting, there was just a lot of good acting throughout this entire movie. Obviously, the villain was a good actor. Gamora was acting her ass off, bro. Gamora was doing such fantastic acting. Nebula was killing it. Mantis, the scene where it's Nebula, Mantis, and Drax, and they're all like, well, Drax wasn't really in on it. He was kind of just getting cooked the whole time. But Nebula and Mantis going back and forth, I'm like, damn, I can really feel their emotions and just how in this shit they are. Like, they were really in that bitch for real. And I really appreciated the acting of all the actors throughout this entire movie. Great job on that. Man, but let's talk about them fucking action scenes. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 honestly had some of the best fighting and action scenes I've seen in any fucking superhero movie ever. That scene where they opened the door and were fighting in that hallway, no exaggeration, I was watching that shit with my jaw dropped. The whole time the shit was going on, I was in the movie theater like, yo, they are cooking right now. Bro, that shit was so, bro, when they were just running through that bitch, Star-Lord throwing the little shocker things on people. Nebula was getting her shit crunched instantly. Put herself back together. Groot opening a tree inside this motherfucker. The scene of Rocket on Groot's shoulder is just so iconic. And they were just in that bitch blasting them down. Gamora doing her shit. And the Guardians, we know, they're here to fight. They're here to scrap. But Mantis is one of the coldest fighters on that team. Mantis was cooking the whole fucking movie, bro. When she was in that bitch, you're gonna start dancing. Hey, you're this. Berserk rage. And they were just all blasting down. She fighting, scrapping. I'm like, damn, I did not know Mantis could get down like this. Why did nobody tell me Mantis was a scrapper like that? Mantis has fucking hands. But the action scenes were just so fucking impeccable. The scene where it was Quill and Groot in the little room with the evil nigga. And he said, Groot, kill them all. And Groot just instantly came out with like 18 guns past Quill his, and they're back to back. Just blasting down the entire fucking unit. Dude, that shit was so awesome. That shit was so fucking awesome. Man, the action scenes in this movie were fantastic. Like, and that just shows how good of a director James Gunn truly is. All of the directing and the cinematography in this movie was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely impeccable. I really could not find any true errors with that. It just looked so good every single time. Every single time they did some shit, it was to the T. To the T. Oh, the scenes with Adam Warlock too. I almost forgot about my boy Adam. At first, I didn't really like him. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When the movie first started, he came off very goofy and a little annoying. I'm gonna be honest with you. But as the movie went on, like, he was still goofy, but he kind of matured a little bit, and his action scenes were just so crispy that I let the annoyance pass. I let that shit slide. Cause when he was flying through the city, we all saw the screenshot. Y'all know what screenshot I'm talking about. Of the picture where it's him flying and it's all up in his face, and I was like, oh, this shit about to be ass. Watching it in real life, and he was flying through, and he was going through the city, that shit looked awesome. That shit looked really, really good. I really appreciated that, and I loved it. I loved just the action of this whole movie, the choreography, and that shit was just perfect. It was damn near perfection. Let's obviously talk about why we come to Guardians of the Galaxy in the first place. The comedy. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too much. And I can't think of a Marvel movie, like one of the comedy style Marvel movies that I've watched in a while that it wasn't too much. But this was perfect. It wasn't Ant-Man. It wasn't Thor Love and Thunder. It wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This was great. Mantis was hilarious. Drax was hilarious. Peter was funny. Even Nebula, like when they were all together, that shit had me dying when they were in the lady's house and they were trying to explain to her what they were looking for. And Mantis is like, yo, our friend is, and Nebula was like, fam, she gonna think he's already dead. And then she did the same shit again. She was like, yeah. And then Mantis is like, yo, Nebula's like, yo, that's the same shit. Meanwhile, Drax keeps trying to lay down on this lady's couch and they're like, fam, stop laying down. That's disrespectful. Sit your ass up. He keeps trying to like slowly lay down. Peter's drawing the picture, which was a good picture. I can't lie. The picture was fantastic. But that whole scene was hilarious. I think they were doing a great job. Whoever wrote the jokes in this movie were really good. I love the scene where Peter was like, I'm gonna use that Star-Lord charm on her, man. I'm gonna make this shit work. He pulled up, Gamora pulled up like, man, quit that shit. Hey, put the money in the bag. Gamora was in that bitch tweaking. I really enjoyed it. Great comedy. I was laughing the whole movie. That shit was funny as fuck. And I like how they used the comedy to kind of break up the darkness of the movie. Because it was very dark. It was very morbid and uncomfortable. But they used that comedy to kind of break that up and make it a little bit more palatable. Because if it only would have been those dark moments in the movie, I don't know if my heart could have handled that. Like, I think it would have just been too much. But the comedy sprinkled in and added in there kind of just made it perfect. And it balanced it all out. It left us feeling good. It left us feeling happy, even though the ending was kind of sad. But it wasn't sad in the way I expected it to be. I think in watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we all expected someone to die. I was waiting for someone to die. And I like how they knew we were waiting for somebody to die. So they kept like baiting us with the deaths. You know, they made it seem like Rocket was going to die. But he didn't actually die. They made it seem like Peter was about to die, but he didn't die. I didn't know if Drax and Mantis and Nebula were going to die. Like there were a bunch of moments where I'm just like, damn, it's up for him. Or it's up for her. And it worked. And I thought I think that was a very clever choice because the director, James Gunn, told us like, this is the last time you guys are going to see the Guardians as you know it. And I was like, oh shit, somebody's dying. And then when the movie started with Rocket and we started finding out all his backstory and she was like, yo, you're the main character. I was like, oh, it's up for Rocket. This is the end. But nah, like they all made it out. And I kind of like that. I like how they threw us that curveball and they didn't give us what they expected. I've watched a lot of movies in my day. So a lot of times when I'm in the movie theater, I can predict certain things that are going to happen throughout the movie. I couldn't really do that for this movie. They threw me a lot of curveballs and I just couldn't predict what the fuck was going to happen next. And I like that. I think that was a really good touch. The end of the movie where Rocket kind of got his piece and he went to go save those raccoons and he found out that he was a raccoon. Because this man denies it. Every single time someone calls him raccoon, it's like, I'm not no damn raccoon. Even when Lila said it to him, he was like, I'm not a fucking raccoon. And got snatched back to the real world. He finally admitted it. He went back. That was such a perfectly written moment. Where he walks back into his old place where he was born and raised. Well, I guess he wasn't born there, but where he was raised. And he opens up the cage and he sees that there are raccoons and he goes to save them all and bro is there. He's like, nah, bro, you're not getting away. I'm not fucking with you, bro. Like, I want the brain. Fuck everything else. That brain is mine and I own it. And Rocket's like, nah, bro. I'm Rocket fucking Raccoon and you're not going to stop me. And then the Guardians give the most well-deserved ass whooping of any fiction I've ever seen in my life. I hated this villain and it felt so good to watch him get his shit boomed by all of the Guardians as a family. It was perfect. They even ripped the face off this man. That shit, man. That shit was, cause he's just so evil, bro. Like, he's just so evil. What a villain. Even when he sent out the fleet at the very end, like the big ass army he had of all the fucked up, mangled animals mixed with cybernetics. You know who he reminds me of? This just hit me right now. He kind of reminds me of what was his name? What was that kid's name from Toy Story? Sid. He reminds me of Sid from Toy Story, how he just ripped shit apart and put it back together. Flora kind of remind me of that one baby head one. Yeah, that nigga Sid. He reminds me of Sid. And he just deserved to get his ass whooped. I'm so happy he got his shit smoked. I appreciated that a lot. And I honestly just loved the way the movie ended. I loved how they didn't give us the cliche Gamora and Star-Lord getting back together, because they could have done that. They could have took the easy route and been like, yeah, Gamora found her old self and now we're back in love and this, that. I think it was perfect how they still didn't end up together. She ended off with, I'm still not the girl that you want, bro. That's not me. I'm sorry. And I was like, nah, I understand. And I'm going to have to be okay with that. Mantis leaves to go find herself. Nebula finds a new purpose. Drax finds a new purpose. Rocket is now leading the team. And it was a really good ending. It was sad and happy at the same time. And it was fucking perfect. And then I get my biggest negative of the entire movie. Vin Diesel fucking saying, I love you guys as Groot. Yo, this movie was so good. It was damn near perfection. And he just had to go do that shit. Oh, I love you guys. Nah, bro. I wanted an I am Groot. A good I am Groot right there would have been perfect. The I love you guys. It fucked up the mood for me. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm hypercritical on that. But it fucked up the mood, bro. Don't nobody want to hear Vin Diesel talking? I don't know. That was some bullshit. I didn't like that. But other than that, this movie was great. I loved it. I even loved how little, and this sounds like some hating, I loved how little Cosmo and the other Arrow dude were in the movie. I didn't like them. I didn't like Cosmo, and I didn't like Dude. And I liked how they weren't a vital piece of the movie throughout the whole thing. They made it to where they got their little moments that they needed and then got the fuck out of there. Perfect. Like, the direction of this movie was perfect. The writing was so fantastic. I love this movie. If I had to rate it, honestly, I'd probably give this shit like a 9.5. I'd probably give it a 9.5. I really enjoyed this movie. This shit was good. This was a good ass movie. And it just made me excited because Phase 5 of Marvel is back. Like, we're back. We went through such a dry spell with Marvel of them just kind of giving us mid and half-ass movies, but we're back, man. We back. I hope that Marvel can carry this same energy on from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it makes me happy to know that James Gunn is now over at DC, because we all know DC has been fucking lacking on the movies. And if James Gunn can take this and do these type of things for DC, then I don't think we have anything to worry about for DC. We'll be getting good Marvel movies, we'll be getting good DC movies, and the fans will be eating, and I'm so happy about that. I'm very happy. This is a good movie, man. This is a good movie. It left me feeling very good. I'm hyped. What's the next superhero movie we're waiting on? Is it Blue Beetle? I think Blue Beetle might be next, or I don't know if we have a release date. I don't know, but I can't wait to see the next movie. But until next time, thank y'all so much. Please make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers. I would appreciate it a ton. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.